Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our afternoon Big Brother 22 All-Stars live feed spoilers. We are now past the veto ceremony. It has just transpired, and I don't even really know how to start this because I could just visualize the reactions to everything that is about to happen in my head.
Yeah, it kind of ended up turning out the way I think a lot of people thought that it would.
Well, okay, we'll just get into it. But before we do, if you guys do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell for more, and you can support us further by checking those links in the description to the store. You can get shirts, mugs, and other cool stuff there, and also our Patreon.
Okay, so here's where we were from last night. I'll sort of recap it quickly so we're all on the same page for anyone who missed it.
Okay.
Tyler was looking to ask Christmas to use the veto on one of the women so that he could go up, he could be backdoored, and he can go home. And he's been talking for a long time that he is not really in the game. His head is not in the game. He just wants to go home. He wants to support Bailey and Davon and why they're there, and they're there for a larger purpose that he is not there for. So this is a way for him to be an ally and help them get to what they want to do with this game, that he can be part of something and he can be part of that. So he ended up going and telling Christmas that he wants the veto to be used on him last night. They had a very long conversation, went on for like 2 hours. She asked him to sleep on it. He said, okay. And then today she basically said, listen, I don't want to use the veto. I'm not going to use the veto on you. You can stick around. You know, Angela gets you for the rest of her life, and we just get you for these 2 months. And so she completely either wasn't told the whole story of why he wants to go home, and he only said, I want to go home and see my woman, or all of it just went over Christmas's head, or she just doesn't care because she's gonna lose her ally.
There's the first thing that I think is important to point out here that you mentioned, and I want to stress this, is that this was not some spur of the moment thing for Tyler that he wants to leave. Like, this is something that he has thought about for a while, so I don't want it to be painted as though Tyler just suddenly came up with something like this over the past 24 hours. Yes, the circumstances in particular when it comes to Bailey and Davon, that is new. That is information that has sort of come out of the past 24 hours. But as we're at this place now where Christmas does not use the power of veto and Tyler did not go on the block, it does leave us with a ton of questions, and there is a lot of information that needs to be picked through here.
Yeah, so one of the things that it sounds like happened that we heard Cody say on the feeds is that Allison Grodner, who is a producer of the show, went down to talk to Tyler last night, which is something that I figured was going to happen. Production doesn't want Tyler to leave. I know there are some people out there saying that they think that, you know, production was pushing Tyler to do this. They're paying Tyler to do this. They don't want Tyler to leave, so the producer came down there to actually talk to him last night, which is what I thought was going to happen.
I think it's something that, honestly, I think it probably happens anytime you have someone seriously talking about leaving the show. Like, I think that's just a part of it, and I think I think there's an awareness on the part of CBS that Tyler is a popular player and all of that. I would like to think that there's also a perspective that they have about what Tyler was trying to stand for and how important that is as well. I think there's a lot of different stuff that's probably rolling through with this decision, but I think a lot of it kind of comes down to this idea of Tyler voluntarily leaving the game via an eviction or Tyler quitting the game, because my understanding on this is that, at least for past seasons, if you quit, if you actively just walk away from the show, I don't think you get your full stipend, and I think you're pretty much cutting all your ties with CBS. They will never bring you back for anything else. So no Tyler and Angela Amazing Race, no anything else like that if Tyler just straight up quits.
Yeah, and I think there's a part of Tyler that doesn't want to just straight up quit, and he did have a very quick conversation where he was talking to Davon. I think they were in the bathroom, and he even said something like, yeah, you know, and I can't quit, and Davon said right away, no, you can't quit. Davon doesn't want him to just quit. what he was going to do is different than just quit. And to me, and clearly to him, and clearly to Davon.
The problem is that I don't think production, unfortunately, really sees it this way, which is why, if you want to be mad at production at this point, I will totally get that, because it seems as though they consider him basically being like, hey, everybody vote me out, that it seems like they are sort of framing that as a quit, and they're not allowing Tyler to do that.
Yeah, and personally, I think that is gameplay. If somebody wants to sacrifice their game for someone else's game, and those people are willing to have that happen, this is the whole point of Big Brother, is all sort of, how do you get people out? How, if people want to get out, if people want to help someone else's game, like, it's all about that type of stuff. To me, someone deciding that they want to fall on their own sword and they want to get voted out, that is part of gameplay. And I know not everyone's going to agree with me, and they're going to think it's the same as quitting, and I get where you're coming from too.
I think ultimately we have a precedent of people who have sort of asked to be evicted or whatever else. I mean, we saw it with Clay and Shelley back in Big Brother 17. Yeah. You think back to Brendan and Rachel, and we've seen it. I know Celebrity's a different sort of show. Maybe there's different rules, but there have been other occasions. So it is like, why is this happening now?
Tyler is claiming that it's against the rules to tell people to vote him out when it hasn't really been before.
Have the rules changed? It's possible, but the thing is, we don't have a producer on the live feeds explaining it to us, and this is kind of where I am with it right now, is that I'm not gonna be mad at Tyler for not wanting to straight quit, and I'm not gonna tell someone that losing however much money they're being paid is no big deal. That's a lot of money that he could stand to lose if he does just quit the game or whatever else. But
especially during a time where we're all in a health crisis and there's lots of people that are losing their jobs and losing money, and maybe they need this money.
I think he also, though, at the same time, he's going to have to be prepared for a lot of people to be particularly upset with him, because it's going to feel like a half measure to some people that he put this out there, but he could technically still leave regardless. He could still quit, but there are ramifications of quitting, and I don't know if he was ever really willing to go that far, as opposed with just having the house evict him.
I think he probably felt that Christmas was going to honor what he wanted. It's a bold move to basically say, Tyler, I've heard what you have to say. Just sleep on it and we'll talk in the morning. And then wake up in the morning and have her coffee and be like, sorry for your luck, Tyler. I'm doing what I want. And she's in there laughing. It was real weird. And you could even see Tyler's body language in there, that while he's like, okay, fine, if this is how it's gonna roll, we'll continue to roll together. But you could see his body language is kind of hunched over and just not, like, it doesn't feel like he's really rolling with Christmas the way that he's saying he is, or the way that she's not taking it is. I will not be at all surprised, depending on who wins the next HOH, if whoever stays, Davon or Bailey, Tyler is now rolling with them for the rest of the season.
I'm going to be interested to see. Like, I haven't seen any of Tyler yet after the feeds came back from the veto ceremony. I don't know where his head is fully at with all of this. And yeah, it seems like he probably is uncomfortable. That body language wasn't great. I think in his head, he's probably thinking, I'm going to get so dragged for this because I put myself out there for this. Christmas isn't really interested in doing what I want. She's trying to convince me otherwise. I can't really stand the ramifications of actually quitting and what that could mean for me financially, what that could mean for, Angela and I's ability to appear on shows together in the future. I think this is a lot more of a complicated situation, but I don't fault Tyler, but I do fault Christmas in a lot of ways for how exactly she's gone about it.
Yeah, I shouldn't be surprised that she decided to go this way, but I am a little bit. She's very loyal to Tyler, and she's close with Tyler, and I feel that if someone who, it seems like she also considers him a friend, if a friend comes to you and says, listen, you have the power to do something for me that is going to make me happier than I am now. I'm really miserable. This is what's happening. I really need to get out of this situation. You have the power to make that happen for me. Would you consider doing that for me? Yeah, maybe, sleep on it. We'll talk in the morning. And then the next day be like, sorry, no, I'm not helping you because my game is more important than your happiness. Hope we're going to still work together. So weird.
If I was Bailey, because Bailey and Davon, they are still on the block and one of them's getting evicted. Mm-hmm. If I was Bailey after the fact, there's probably one thing I would be upset at Tyler for at this point. I mean, yeah, aside from whatever individual comments happened before all this, and that is that earlier today, after Tyler and Christmas talked, and it was pretty clear from that conversation she wasn't using the veto, he then had a conversation with Bailey, and he sort of acted as though Christmas still wasn't sure what she was going to do and that he wasn't sure. And I think in that moment he knew, and ultimately that did kind of set her up to be emotionally blindsided at the veto ceremony. Yeah, I get it that it was Christmas's decision to make and all that, but I mean, maybe he could have tipped her off at that moment so it wasn't such a shock, because it seemed like a shock to her.
Yeah, he could have done more to help Bailey through it, but at the same time, it is Christmas's decision. Maybe he wanted Christmas to just take all the blame and all the heat because she is the person who is taking all the heat and should take the blame. She made the decision. This is her decision. So I get where Tyler's maybe coming from with that, but what I wish Tyler had done, and he clearly wasn't in a good frame of mind last night. You could see that he wasn't doing well with this stuff. Is I kind of wish that he had thought that if Christmas was like, listen, I'm not willing to lose you. All right, cool. Who are you willing to lose? Because I'm in a position right now that if you're not willing to lose me, I'm not willing to lose Davon and Bailey. So who are you willing to lose? Because if they go, one of them goes, I'm just going to self-evict and I will quit. Even if he doesn't mean it.
Yeah.
To throw that out there, to then save both of them. Christmas still gets Tyler. Throw out Ian or Kevin or anyone else.
Yeah, we've thrown around the idea of Danny, but it doesn't even have to be Danny. It could sort of be anyone. And, there's that counter argument I guess someone could make of, well, why would Tyler risk his game for that and making Christmas mad? But if he's threatening to self-evict, like you said, he's basically just playing with house money. It would be sort of like, who cares if Christmas is mad at you for something like that? If this is the way to make something work, and I don't know if they just collectively they didn't think about this, but I wish that there had been a way for Tyler, Christmas, Bailey, and Davon to just come together. Christmas, your game is so boring, and I don't even think it's that good now because Bailey is just incensed at you, and she doesn't understand why you've done this, and she feels like she obviously doesn't know about Tyler and Christmas being so close, but she feels like she had a golden opportunity to just put Tyler on the block because he wanted it, and she didn't do it, and she is beyond frustrated about it.
Yeah, and I get why she's frustrated about it. This seemed like, and I believe him, that this was something that he really wanted. And him spending as long as he did trying to talk to Christmas about it tells me that the action he took after that conversation with Davon and Bailey is this is what he wanted. So I get why Bailey's really upset about that. Obviously, her game is probably the one that is ending, so that's going to make her feel this way. Then, she is close with Tyler, and she saw the pain that Tyler was going through, so now Christmas has decided that her game is more important than Tyler's happiness. So she might have a little bit of problem with that as well. I mean, the whole thing is just a very, very intense situation for a lot of people.
This is a mess. This is a big, legitimate, dramatic mess.
It's also interesting how many people this season are ready to go home. There's a lot of people that have been having a hard time. It hasn't just been Tyler. He's been talking about going home for weeks. But Ian has also been talking about going home. And then last night, Danny was also talking that she's ready to go home. This season of people are not having the time of their life in this house.
And I think why, in a lot of cases, it is just a function of they've already had the joy of playing Big Brother before. And I think they don't have that thrill of excitement about, oh, maybe one day we get to do Zingbot or OTEV. It's like a lot of them anyway, have had these experiences, except for kind of David. But I just think in general, They don't have that. And then you add on top of that what we're all going through as a country right now. The fact that several of these people, Danny, a parent, and they have other things on the outside that I think they miss especially. And it is one of the most unhappy group of people I've ever seen on Big Brother. Like, just a lot of them just feel so miserable a lot of the time.
Yeah, this isn't a fun season. The cast does not feel like they're really having a lot of fun. There's been a few moments with some of the punishments, like Ian and stuff like that, but overall, I mean, Kaser felt like he was ready to go home. Like, people are not wanting to be there. And it's making it hard for at least me as a viewer to watch people that I know don't want to be there, and they want to go home, and they don't really want to be part of this experience.
The person I think I'll at least emotionally understand being upset and wanting to go right now the most is probably Bailey, because she has been emotionally just jerked around in every direction these past 2 days. And I don't think Tyler did it intentionally. Like you said earlier, I think he probably was serious about some of what he was saying, but he couldn't anticipate all the different reactions to it. He couldn't anticipate production sort of doing it, and he wasn't willing to just outright quit. So we are where we are. Tyler probably knew that if he just intentionally jerked her around, he would be dragged like nobody's business online for that pretty much forever.
Yeah, I just think his mind is not really sharp right now with everything that he's going through emotionally, that he's not like, okay, I need to say this right thing to this person, or make sure that I tell Bailey everything, or tell Christmas this. I think his mind is just, we've watched this sort of descent on the live feeds for a few weeks now. His head is not here.
I'm not trying to do this to be hyperbolic or anything else. I legit have no idea where the next 24 to 48 hours with all of this goes. Maybe the Blob Alliance just recoalesces and Tyler's fully in there. Maybe Tyler goes rogue now. I don't have any idea other than just that, I can see people not being thrilled with everything from the past few days. Once again, you think something is going to happen, and then, nope.
Yeah, and I am the most curious to see what is going to happen with that Christmas and Tyler relationship, because Christmas doesn't seem to be taking any sort of look at any of Tyler's body language when she's getting all hyped that he's gonna stay in the house with her, and he's just kind of like, yeah, sure, it'll be all right. I was like, man, this is weird. So I'm very curious to see where Tyler's gonna land, because if he's willing to get himself thrown up on the block and get everyone to vote him out for Davon and Bailey, then I don't know why after this HOH and the next one comes in, why he's not going to just ride or die with whoever's left in the house.
One more thing to point out here before we wrap up. Christmas also told Tyler about the all-girl alliance and then threw Davon under the bus for starting it. So nobody keeps a secret about this. This has to be one of the quickest deaths of any all-girl alliance ever in Big Brother.
So bad.
It is a mess. Everything is a mess. Let's all just cry our mess town tears at this point while we're still in the clown car being driven by David, where we think David is going to save the season.
That's right.
Okay, well, what do you guys think about these veto ceremony results and everything that's going on with it? Let us know in the comments, and if you do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, support us further. Check those links to the store, our Patreon, and we'll see you here next time.